There it is. Thank you, Guy. So welcome everybody, and this is the first Zoom meeting for Area H. And I first would like to recognize that we're on the lands of the Coast Salish people. And second, a special thank you to our presenters tonight, Coralie Bryn, Mike Fall, and Pamela Walker. And thank you to Guy for his technical services. I was panicking about 15 minutes ago, but he's got everything running smooth now. And lastly, thank you to you for taking the time to join us tonight and provide your input into what I hope will be a productive website for this whole area. Over the next hour, or we'll see how long it goes, I want to give a brief update for myself, followed by 3 short presentations, each followed by some time for questions. And please write your questions in the chat room. So the presentations are going to be on the Harmonized OCP, Area H, the Advisory Planning Commission, and also the Yellow Point Trail. We haven't had a Parks Commission meeting yet. I'm hoping that will happen very soon. And once we get the Parks Commission group together, then I'd like to include them in whatever forum that we have going forward. Then after that, we'll have a few short snap surveys, as we call them, and then get some roundtable input on the website. I'm not sure if many people built websites before, but it's very much like building a house or a shed or anything like that, in that you have to put a foundation and the walls and then the roof. And so if you put something in the wrong order and you've got the foundation and the walls up and you go, oh, I want to go fix something else in the foundation, it takes a lot of work to do that. So the framework of a website is very important, because once you put it in place, it's likely not going to change for that life of that website without a lot of work or energy. The other thing I've learned about websites is that I don't know any other area director that has one. And I'll be still looking to see if anybody does. And maybe I will learn about why they don't. But to me, this is one of those promises that was made during the campaign that I want to demonstrate that I will follow up with. And I'm hoping that it will be something that will have value going forward. And the value is to you. And so that's the feedback I'll find out as we go ahead. It doesn't come without costs, though, and that's the cost that I'm willing to bear. But it also a cost of time, and I know Guy's going to help me get this started. But I'll always be looking for people that will be willing to volunteer and have the expertise to keep it current, keep it maintained. Because like a car, you have to maintain it. You have to put oil in it and gas, I think. No, maybe it's not oil and gas. Maybe it's you have to just keep refreshing it. And those are things that have to happen on a regular basis. Otherwise, they don't work. So that's sort of the beginning. And just a little bit about what's happened in the last 9 days or since the election was over. I took the oath of office on December 9th. So I think that's about 9 days ago or 8 days ago. And from there, I went right into a whole day of budget meetings. So the learning curve has been really, really steep. And since then, I've been trying to meet with all the heads of all the departments to find out about what Area H portfolios are involved. And from there, I want to make sure that the different commissions that we have in this area that help get the information from the community back up through the CVRD are all functioning. So both the Parks Commission and the Advisory Commission, Planning Commission are ones that are very important, to you as a community, and I want to make sure they're supported properly. I also want to thank Colin Hain, because he's left this area in really good shape from a perspective of being, me being able to transition in. Everybody speaks highly of what he's done and the work he's done, and I can speak highly too that he's made the transition very smooth. So I want to give a shout out to Colin for that. So it seems every day I learn something new, and I think that when I've got a grasp of a topic, and then I meet somebody else in the community and they tell me about, oh, did you know about this park, or did you know about this going on? And I realize that I have so much to learn. And so again, I'm really reaching out to all of you. This is the beginning. This is the first of many, many, many communications that we will have together. And I just look forward to you informing me about what great community we have. So let's go through the three short presentations. The very first one is about the harmonized official community plan. And I'd like to welcome Coralie Bryn from the CVRD. She's the planning coordinator there. And I've been told by many, many people that Coralie, that you're the expert. So I'd like to turn it over to you.
My son would beg to differ about that. I'm an expert on really too much. Okay, can you see that?
Yes.
Okay, good evening, everyone. And I'd just like to thank the Director Maartman, for inviting me tonight, and all of you for coming this evening. It's great to see the community come out. Area H is big supporters, had a great turnout at the open houses. So I was asked to give a 3-minute, very short kind of update on the harmonized OCP and modernized OCP. I have been chatting with your chair, Mike Fall, about coming out to APC meeting in January or early February to give a fuller presentation. So I was working on something anyway, and I'm not meaning to speed dial it, but I'm cognizant of your time and the other presenters. So just so you're aware, I will be giving a longer version of this in 2021, and the intention tonight is just to give you a high-level overview. So can I see, just by a raise of hands, how many came to the open houses in February? Is anybody there? Okay, great. So some of you are familiar with the project, but for those that aren't, the electoral areas, 9 of them in the CVRD, currently have 7 official community plans. I was hired 3 years ago to, hi, Guy,
Yeah, Coralie, there's a black blodge appearing across the right-hand side of the screen. If you go to full view, it might disappear. You're still not in full view for your PowerPoint.
Is that better?
Yeah, is it just me seeing the black blodge? Is it others seeing it too?
No, this happened for me on a call today, and what we had to do was stop screen sharing. And then Coralie, you probably have some application open that has this tall rectangular bar. Once you stop sharing your screen, if you close whatever that bar is,
it's the group chat.
So close that and then start sharing your screen again.
Okay. Yeah, close the chat.
Okay, I think that's what it was.
Okay. Now try sharing again now then.
Can you see that now?
No, it's still there.
Oh, I apologize. I'm not sure what that is. So, okay. You're saying it's in the corner.
It's on the right-hand side. It covers the entire sort of right-hand quarter of your slide.
Is it one of the design features of the PowerPoint presentation?
I don't think so. Unless she's covering up 3 areas. Try again. And if we'll just live with it if need be.
Okay. I'm going to just try different. I just wiped all of you out. Okay, so I'm just going to go back to, now it's skipping a slide. Okay. I don't know why it's doing that.
There we go.
So just to come back to the process of the harmonization of the 7 electoral OCPs. Right now we're in the middle, which is that we have a draft harmonized OCP. You'll hear it referred to as bylaw 4270. The board has given it 2nd reading, and we are now in the process of going out to external referrals, giving presentations to the APCs, First Nations, and I will be coming back to the directors probably in March with the results of the referrals, and then some recommendations for more public information before going to public hearing. The OCP the draft is available on the CVRD website. Each of the electoral areas has a local area plan, which is scantier than your existing OCP, but a lot of content has been moved to the main OCP. Your APC, under the chairpersonship of Mike Fall, was very much involved in ensuring that your current Area H OCP was adequately reflected in the regional and the local area plan. So they were very hands-on, and we had several meetings with that APC over the course of 2020, and Mike personally came to several meetings at the CVRD as well. Concurrently, we're developing the modernized OCP with several neighborhood plans. So more information later, but there's 3 schedules. There's the main portion, Schedule A, Schedule B are the local area plans, and then Schedule C are the development permit areas. As we are concurrently modernizing this OCP and zoning bylaw, our challenges here are making sure that we're clear and concise and we have consistent messaging. And certainly one of the goals is to create a more simple document in a very complex legal environment. This is something that some of you may have seen because it was up in the open houses. This is going forward into the modernization. And a lot of what we've been doing is the organization or the reorganization of information from the harmonized into the modernized OCP and the zoning bylaws. What you see up here is actually an older planning framework, but it's been used in the States for a long time, and that's where it originated in parts of Canada. It's not meant to be this linear, but it does give you an idea of the progression from the more rural and resource-based land designations up to the more urban, and you'll see downtown is wiped out, but that's meant to represent Duncan, and then the special districts. High level again, just because of our time, we are right now in the modernization drafted from 160 land use designations down to 20. And since you have this recorded, you'll be able to come back later and take more of a longer look. You'll see the 20 draft designations along the side. Of course, this is just as a beginning conversation piece, because we will be coming out to the communities for community circles and other types of consultation on this. But this is just the developing of the framework going forward. We're applying density thresholds in many of the OCPs. They have designations without density thresholds, particularly in the residential. And it's been very difficult to ensure consistency between OCPs and zoning bylaws. So again, just at a very high level, you'll see from rural to suburban to urban, the higher density thresholds kind of going forward in terms of the organizing framework. If we look at those 3 and then look at some of the current designations, you'll see Area H in the middle, and then reorganize them and classify them, you'll see how that might look going into the modernized OCP. So the names might change, but they'll be relatively the same with a more clarity. It wasn't planned, but this was the electoral area that was selected from GIS as the example. And so this kind of gives you a bit of an idea of what the land use designation maps are looking like, even in the harmonization. This current example is modernization, but in terms of the names, but this is what the harmonized maps look like now too, except, and you'll see here, a lot of numbers have been removed from the maps and the clarity is more color-based. So there's less clutter on the map. Development permit areas. This was a hot topic with your APC. And we'll come back to that again when I come out and talk to you, but we have gone from 44 to 13 development permit areas. A lot of untangling the DNA, as I call it. Going forward into the modernization, we've already developed policy papers that will become the basis of discussion in the community circles. And so those are in draft form right now. We're really looking forward to your input on those. The zoning bylaw is also going through the modernization. We have 8 zoning bylaws for the 9 electoral areas and 330 zones. This is an example here of early findings in terms of some of the clarity that you're going to see in the drafts. And again, the drafts will have the community consultation. So from 32 agriculture zones to 3. This is the type of thing that you're going to see. The policy papers, as I mentioned, are drafted. The discussion papers are being drafted. We're having external GIS do a lot of the analysis for us on the discussion papers for the zoning bylaw. And then just finally, a bit of a process line. You can see there potentially final readings for the HOCP next year, maybe potentially in the summer. And meanwhile, this concurrent development of the modernized OCP and the zoning bylaw and the refinement of the DPAs, we actually expect to be maybe a 2 or 3 or 4 year process because it's not just time, but it's also budget dependent. Housing needs assessment. We have been working on in community planning, the regional housing needs assessment, which is a regional report, one for each electoral area, one for each municipality, and we'll be presenting that to the board and the electoral area directors in January and February. A lot of mapping work that's been done to update the maps, 350 maps in the harmonized OCP, the upgrading of them going back to files that were 30 years old and had printed copies, but nothing digitalized. Marine plans, so we'll be talking to you a bit about that. Climate plan, agriculture, local plans will probably end up being more of an agriculture strategic plan. Already had a presentation with Cowichan tribes, and they are interested. They've hired a new planner, and they're interested in working together. And that's it for me. I hope I didn't take up too much of your time.
Thank you, Coralie. That's, for me, that's perfect. I'm hoping this will be useful for the people that are listening as well. In terms of building a website, I can see almost having a drop down for just community planning, because there sounds like there'll be lots of information to populate that with. Does anybody have any questions for Coralie because she has to leave before she leaves? Seeing a lot of thanks, Coralie. Thanks for the update, Coralie. So I expect you will hear from us, and maybe through the APC, but also at the next time we get a chance to maybe publicly meet. But that might we're all getting vaccinated, lining up for vaccinations, I hope. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. So thank you very much on behalf of everybody here. I'd like to thank you for your time and look forward to working in the future.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me, and Merry Christmas, everyone. And I hope you're all well and safe. And I look forward to coming out or virtually coming out to meet with the Area H APC. So thank you. Thanks for having me.
Okay, bye-bye. So thanks to Coralie. And then moving on next, as the gentleman's been mentioned a number of times, and that'll be to Mike Fall. And Mike's just going to give you a brief introduction to your ACP, the Advisory Planning Committee.
Yes, good evening. A little bit of liquid courage.
You have to pass it around, Mike.
I have to write everything down because memory isn't what it used to be. So I'm going to be reading most of this. Good evening, fellow Area H residents. The Advisory Planning Commission, APC for short, loved by some, hated by a few, and misunderstood by many. Ben has asked me to briefly describe the makeup, function, and activities of your excuse me, Area H Advisory Planning Commission. For the background, a local government act empowers regional boards to establish one or more advisory planning commissions. Not all do. There are plenty of areas that don't have advisory planning commissions at all. APC members are appointed by the regional board on the recommendation of the area director for 1 to 3 year terms, which can be extended by reappointment. Regional boards attempt to ensure APCs are balanced, representing a cross-section of the electoral area geography. In our instance, we have a very good spread. South Cedar is represented by Allison Hikas. South Cassidy is represented by myself. Shell Beach is represented by Chris Duran, the co-chair. The Diamond is represented by Shannon Boisvert. And Yellow Point is represented by John Edwards and a new member, Doug Hoare. Interestingly enough, almost all of whom are farmers of one sort or another. APC members are unpaid volunteers, donate their time for the benefit of the community. At times, that commitment can be very demanding. The official purpose of the APC is to advise the electoral area directors, the regional board, on matters referred to them by the regional board. APCs do not instigate advice. They only respond to matters referred to them, which fall in one of 3 categories. Category 1, matters that involve amendments to the official community plan, such as zoning changes, creation of new zones, zone boundary adjustments, and once every 10 to 15 years, the actual creation of a whole new OCP. Matters that involve, item 2, matters that involve conditions and or restrictions on activities over development or developments involving a development permit area or variances or special use permits. And thirdly, matters that involve activities or developments on land inside the agricultural land reserve, which, by the way, the regional board is not obliged to always refer to the APC. Sometimes they just make the decision themselves. Activities and developments that are permitted by the parcel zoning are not referred to APCs for advice unless they are in development permit area or require a temporary or special use permit. So in other words, a farmer that has 250 acres and he wishes to cut it in half, he's in the A1 zone, minimum's 30. That would never come to the APC. It might through the agricultural land reserve, but as far as the zone is concerned, that subdivision is permitted by the zoning on that property and it would not be referred to the APC. As the name implies, the primary role of APC is to advise. There is no authority behind a recommendation made by an APC, but in practice, the regional boards are normally very reluctant to vote against one. Although APCs are not responsible for making final decisions on matters referred to them, where an APC has established a reputation of being fair, intelligent, and a critical body, its advice tends to carry significant authority. However, the advice of a well-established and respected APC is not the final say in a decision involving an OCP amendment, where before making a final decision, regional boards will almost always publicize and host a public meeting so any and all concerned citizens can voice their concern or opinions. At these meetings, official minutes are kept and the general attitude of the citizens is noted. For the procedures, all APC meetings, including site visits, are open to the public. APCs are not permitted to meet in private or to discuss matters referred to them in private. APC meetings are publicized in advance. APC meetings minutes, when approved, are posted on the CVRD website. Area directors and alternates are not eligible, to be members of an APC, but may attend meetings in a resource capacity only. APCs are required to hear all applicant proponents who make presentations on matters referred to them by the regional board. Questions and/or opinions from members of the public present at meetings may be heard at the discretion of the APC chairman. Area H has established a very lenient policy in this regard. We have some founding principles. These principles were taken from a document written during the amalgamation of Toronto. Toronto at one time was a giant sprawl, worse than the Capital Regional District. And it was all amalgamated into one. And somebody, some brilliant spark, wrote this down. And a good friend of mine who was involved in civic politics up in Cranbrook, when I told him I'd been appointed to the APC, he sent them to me. Those guiding principles are: rezoning a property should only be considered under one of the following: when the original zone designation was inappropriate at the time it was established, and that can happen, it has happened. 2, when circumstances have changed significantly since the zone designation, and that zone is no longer appropriate. Or 3, when there is a significant benefit to the community without a detriment to local citizens or the environment. That's basically my presentation regarding the APC, but Ben asked me to briefly discuss current activities. One of the first activity we're looking at right now is a rezoning application for a small property on Simpson Road. The current zone on the parcel is C3, which is service commercial. The property owners have applied to rezone it to Industrial 1, I1, light industrial, because they wish to conduct warehousing at the site. And the C3 zone they have only permits warehousing when it's auxiliary to a retail site. The property is situated over the South Cassidy Aquifer, and both the C3 and the I1 zones permit activities that would present a risk to that aquifer. Even the I3 zone, the ultralight industrial zone, allows some activities that would be inappropriate over such a precious water resource. Consequently, the APC decided to refer the application back to the CVRD Planning Department with a request to investigate some sort of compromise. This may require a new zone that allows activities that represent no or minimal risk to the aquifer. These are always very difficult decisions because applicants are reluctant to restrict their options for a property, so they're seldom completely forthcoming with plans. But in actual fact, their plans have no bearing on the recommendation. APCs must constantly remind themselves that the reputation of the applicant and their wishes or plans for the property are completely irrelevant. The zone is attached to the property, not the owner. On occasions, owners seek rezoning only to enhance the value of a potential sale. Once the property is sold, any guarantees or promises made by the original owner become null and void. In this instance, the property is located in the only industrial area within Area H. People need employment, and it is not realistic to expect everyone to be farmers. Consequently, it's not appropriate to recommend denial on all commercial and/or industrial applications, especially in the only commercial area we have. The process becomes a constant balancing act, respecting the need for some commercial industrial activities, protection of the environment, including the aquifer, and the wishes and hopes and desires of the area's citizens. The other project we're working on is the Harmonized Official Community Plan, and I think Coralie has already covered that pretty extensively. Thank you very much. Any questions?
Yeah, thank you very much, Mike. And yes, we had a question from Pamela. Pamela, did you want to ask your question? You might be on mute. I'll ask it for you then, Pamela. Pamela was asking, like, where are the meetings publicized? You mentioned public meetings for.
Yes, and I guess that double question then, and where are the minutes publicized?
On the CVRD website.
For both of those, are you saying?
I have no idea. I've never looked them up, so
Right.
I don't know how to find them, but I'm told they're there.
Okay, so maybe another thing for the Area H website that we could put on there.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Any other questions for Mike? Mike, that's a wonderful presentation. Thank you very much.
You're most welcome. My pleasure. Some more liquid courage.
Okay. Moving on, we have a third one, and this is another 3-minute update. And the 3 minutes, I have to apologize because the 3 minutes, it appears like 3 minutes in different areas of the Area H seem to take different lengths of time. So Pamela, I just turn it over to you for your 3 minutes.
Okay, thank you, Ben. Pamela Walker. I am a member of the Yellow Point Ecological Society, and in one of our meetings, somebody suggested that it would be nice to be able to walk down Yellow Point Road and other roads in our area without being mowed down by a truck or so I kind of took that bull by the horn and thought maybe this is something that would be interesting to pursue, and pursue it I did. So I got the help of my husband, and we got 19 used horrible bicycles that were no good for anybody else, and we painted them yellow and put them up around the Yellow Point Cedar area where we thought there might be a good place for a circular bicycle route, and sorry, Edie, and a route for horses and people who are walking as well. And we just put them out there to see what people thought about the idea. And people came up with lots of ideas of why the bikes were there. And then it was revealed in an article I wrote for the Take 5 magazine. So since then, we have gone to the RDN and the CVRD to ask whether we could have a multi-use trail around the Yellow Point and Cedar areas. We found out that there is a huge grant that is available through the BC Ministry of Transportation and Infrastructure, Active Transportation. And if it connected different modes of transportation, they would look at it more clearly. So I thought, okay, why don't we start it at the airport and go all the way to the ferry boat? Who else has an airport, a ferry boat, and 2 bus routes in the same area? So that's what we've done. And we went to the board of the RDN and the CVRD and said, can we do this? What we want from you is we want some help. We want some money, and we want to sit at the table with all of you and Ministry of Transportation and find out whether we can do this. The RDN and the CVRD said yes for sitting at the table. They said they didn't know about the money. But we did actually have that meeting, and it was actually 5 days. It was on December 3rd. So we didn't have a regional director for the CVRD at that point. Maybe I should back up a bit. We needed the RDN and the CVRD because it goes through both areas. But I did call Ben Maartman and ask him whether he would join us, and because he couldn't be on an official capacity, could he take the minutes? And he did that. So he is well up to speed in the area of what needs to be happening with that. in the meantime, the guy from the Ministry of Transportation called me and said, hey, I've got some extra money here. I can do some of this path that you're looking for right now. So he said, it's in the works. Not much you can do about it, but it's a 1.5 meters of the right of way on the roads. And we're doing it from all along Cedar Road, from Code Road to Haslam Road. And that is now complete. So I emailed him and said, it's not what we wanted. It's not a separate path, but it sure does help the children get safely to school and back. Can we have more of it? Can you continue down Cedar Road from Haslam all the way down to Yellow Point Road on the other end by the Crowan Gate-ish area there? He said that they don't have any money left, but it's on the plan. So we'll see. And things are continuing. We're writing grant applications, various Ministry of Transportation, BC, and looking into federal grants. And we have a good group of people that are really interested. We've got letters from all the businesses, I think, in the area, maybe not Colstar or yeah, most of the business, 80% of the businesses. So, and now we're going to start a fundraising campaign because we need $28,000 for this feasibility study. We're hoping 14,000 will come from the CVRD, but if it doesn't, we want a backup plan. We want to get some of that money and $14,000 from the RDN. So I hope that was 3 minutes. Any questions, anyone?
Don't see anything right now.
Okay.
But thank you very much, because it may be also another thing that we could put up on the website every now and then, just updates on how the Yellow Point Trail and other initiatives, maybe Area H initiatives, would be appropriate. So anyways, they're sort of just priming the pump here about what could go on the website. So thank you, Pamela. Appreciate that. Because right now we've heard, about the harmonized OCP. We've heard about the activities of a commission, about the APC commission. We will have the Parks Commission as well. We'll also have initiatives such as Yellow Point Trails, because I'm sure this will probably only take a year to get done, right, Pamela? This could be decades, or who knows how long it will take. So that's sort of the idea of sort of putting the thoughts in your heads about some of the things that could go on a website. But I thought we would also take some time to just do some very short surveys. So I would ask Guy to help me with this. But the first survey is, where do you get your information from? And you're going to see a survey with a list of items where possible. And you just go in there and you click on all the ones that you use to get information about Area H. So it's about getting information about Area H. So everybody go in there, fill out the poll right now and send it in.
So we have 7 people so far, 8 out of 18, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 2 not responded so far. 2 have yet to respond. That's probably me as one of them. Oh no, we're 20. 17. Okay, and I will, 18, there we go. End the poll, share the results.
So there we are. So the Take 5, 89%. And the Chronicle, about 44%. There you go, Cole. I think you're on. That was some of the information you're looking for. And it looks, interesting, about a third of the people use Facebook. I mean, we're a very small poll group, right? We're a very selective group as well. So thanks for that, Guy. So the next poll is, again, another one. And this is, I'm looking for, what are your top 3 items that you would want to see communicated in a website? So we just put a variety of them out there, and what are the top 3? So just put 3 things in and then hit submit. So it'll take a little bit longer to read through and find out which ones you want to click on.
Yeah, you got to understand all whatever it says and then think of the top three. That's a bit of thought. And if there's something missing, put it in the chat box and then we can, I can't add it into the poll at this last minute.
I can see some questions come up in the chat box like acronyms, and yes, we are acronym friendly. I come from a paramedic background and we have acronyms for everything. So yes.
So there's 2 people yet to vote. Okay, 100% have voted. So I'm going to end the poll, share the results.
So advisory planning, the parks, events about what's happening, and yep, or right up there. That's very, very useful.
Okay.
And the last poll is one about how frequent would you want to have the town hall meetings. This really isn't a town hall. This is a preliminary to a town hall, but just wondering about a community meeting that we can have. How often would you want to have it?
Three people yet to vote, one person yet to vote. There we go.
All right, so it looks like every quarter is pretty popular. Thank you for that. So the question was that someone posted was, are we going to talk about the platform? Yes. So the platform we're using is called WordPress, and it gives us some flexibility in how we actually put the framework together. Typically, you have a home page, and then you have a variety of navigation bars that are drop downs. And it's about those drop downs and what those look like and how you populate those that makes it easy to navigate. You go to the CVRD website and they have the very same kind of framework. However, if you put so much information on there, or you have multiple things falling under one category, information starts to get lost. And so it's about trying to provide information that's timely, relevant, and current. And so, and putting it into silos that you can go, oh, that's going to be the official community plan, or we can call it community planning. You go down there and then you can drop down those things. So what I'm looking for is about how you can, what are those topics that along the top that you might want to see? Because coming from what you've given the survey, I think community planning would be one. But there isn't anything maybe on climate change or on water security. And those are the kind of topics that I'm looking for. Like, what is really important to you? That would be the drop downs that we would want to populate there. So I got some questions. If you think about that, and put things in the chat room. Yes, you can. The WordPress can be optimized for a mobile device, so we can make that happen. We definitely have a little place for acronyms, and that's not a problem. And maps, I think, is a great thing. And maybe maps would fall, I'm not sure about the organization, but we have parks and trails and the geography of the area and what makes this area so special. We can make a list of things that as I learned them, I can put them out there, or you can tell me and I'll put them up there. I got one that says protection. So again, fall under a larger heading of water security. So if you keep putting ideas in there, I can sort of give you ideas of what it would fall under. And then if you don't, you say, oh, that sounds pretty you know, it could be worded better, then I'd be interested in that. So we got maps related to history, geography, recreation, land use, planning. Yep. So that, you know, almost a map itself, you know, trying to find a map of Area H on the CVR website, it is hard because they have maps of everything in different places. So First Nations connection piece on the website. Okay. And when you, maybe someone could, can we build on that one a little bit? What's the connection piece that someone wants to do? Is that, Edie, did you have more to comment on that?
Yeah, well, I just wanted to make sure that they felt like they were part of what we're forming here. So if they wanted to contribute some local history for the First Nations, so that we have more appreciation for the territory that we're on and the history that they've had here, that might be one of the things that we could connect with them. So
Okay.
the reconciliation piece.
Okay, that sounds good. Shannon, you mentioned bylaws. Are you thinking specific bylaws around the OCP, or what were you thinking there? You on mute, or you can write more in the chat room, Shannon, if you like. Douglas, fur protection, inlet protection. I'm wondering if all that falls a bit under climate change in a way. I'm not sure if that's what people would think. And certainly under climate change, there's a number of reports that the CVRD, as I work with the CVRD, I see that they're already into phase 1 of a climate action plan. And it's a 4-phase, and putting those kind of reports up where people can read them might be of interest. The problem is if I put everything I think of interest up there, I'm kind of a nerdy guy when it comes to information. I like everything. And so I don't want to overwhelm the website, but what do you have? Yep.
So actually 2 things. One you just said, I think, is if the website's organized well, which it sounds like it will be, I would rather have more information than less, as long as it's organized well. Yes. And the other piece I'd put in the chat was, we moved to Yellow Point 3 years ago, and there was an election shortly after we moved, and we moved from the city. So we had no idea, like, what's this Area H? And we actually went to a voting station thinking that we were voting in the Nanaimo municipal or the Ladysmith municipal election, and got there, and she's like, oh, no, you don't get to vote. You're part of the regional district. We're like, what is that? We don't. And we just had neighbors move here from the mainland, and they're completely confused about what this Area H thing is versus a district or municipality. So if there's something on the website, just in really plain language that sort of explains the governance, the structure, because I think we have a lot of people moving to this area who aren't used to living in regional districts, and it can get pretty confusing trying to figure it out and fumble through the different websites to try and sort it all out.
Okay, thank you. And that's I think it also cues me to think about when you website, one of the things you have to be careful about is the amount of work it takes. If you're putting actual documents on it versus sending a link to another website that actually is the owner of the document. So that's a piece that I'll be looking at, trying to make sure that we do to avoid any kind of, I guess, maintenance of those documents. Thank you for that,
Brenda. Sure. Oh, sorry. I just thought that's really true, because I was very confused when I moved here and realized that in order to pay my taxes, I had to drive all the way past Ladysmith to Duncan. I just didn't understand why that happened.
That's great. Thanks, Pamela and Brenda, for that. Let me see, where are we here? Burning, bans, venting. I think those are all bylaw things. And, that's the interesting thing Shannon just brought up about people maybe having concerns about bylaw infractions. And I was wondering about the use of the FAQ site, and that where, something comes forward, it gets dealt with by the CVRD because that's their responsibility. And then I put it up under a FAQ. This situation happened. I remove all the details out of it, but this situation happens. here's what the response from the CVRD was, and this is what the outcome. And maybe it may be no response too. Like, but at least it'll be something to say. This is, if you go down the route, this is where you need to go, and this is the outcome that one person got. So that's more of an FAQ role, and it'll be more of a catch-all because it may cover a lot of different topics. But it might be a go-to place that might help people like Brenda, or all of us. We're going saying, well, is this a regional director level or CVRD issue? Is this a provincial issue, or is this a federal issue? Or maybe this is something you have to send down to Biden. I don't know, but we'll find out. That was my joke. You guys didn't laugh. Bernie, I'd like to suggest linking to content where it originates. Yes, that's good. Beginner guide, good. I like that. That's a good topic. The beginner guide to regional district, and each regional district's different. I'm learning that myself. And area H is different than all the other areas. We have some unique pieces to it from the CVRD's perspective. Especially when it comes to budgeting, one of the things I've learned is all the other areas have something called a grant and aid, where they actually give out money to different groups based on what the director, I gather, what the director's wishes are. But Area H has never done that. I mean, that's a cost to the specific taxpayers of Area H. And Mary Marcotte over the years has never gone to having grant money given out to anybody. So, which speaks strongly to the groups in this area because they are on their own 2 feet. And you think about NOAA and the North Oyster Community Center, they did that on their own. There wasn't grants and aid coming from the CVRD or from the taxpayers of Area H. So kudos to those groups. FJCC, there's an acronym. We can get dog licenses at, the Jameson Community. Oh, now there we go. And I didn't know that. I go all the way down to and that's the kind of thing that I think going on the website, FAQ, that's wonderful. Improvement districts are blocked from receiving grants and aid. Yes, they are. Well, improvement districts, we have one, and I think that's a piece that we maybe have to share with the rest of Area H and say that, we have different water systems, for example. Shell Beach, Shell Wood, Aho, and they are water systems, but then you have a improvement district in the Diamond. So, boy, all of this stuff is just, to me, sharing information about all the different parts of Area H. So I'm cognizant of time. I'm feeling that I'm getting a ton of information that's very useful. I'm wondering if we can continue this, if you want to just, as we wrap up and you think of something, I'm going to type in my new CVRD contact information. .ca, and also my new CVRD phone number. There it is. And that will be on there because Guy is recording it, so that'll be for everybody to use, but that's available anytime for anybody to use. I'm also thinking about, Guy, did you have something?
Yeah, it's looking like from the comments, I'm thinking, so as a person going to be designing the website, I'm looking at headings that, one is about Area H, which covers governance, CVRD, APC, Parks Commission, where do we pay our taxes and stuff like that. The second heading, geography, history, ecology, aquifers, climate, those kind of things. The third on events, which could be both government and private events and NGO events and all sorts of stuff. And then an FAQ, and then one on what's new. Mm-hmm. So does that seem like a good structuring for the main headings along the top? I see Edie putting her thumbs up there. Yeah. And cool. Okay, that's getting
I don't know if I don't know if that's a long distance number. I haven't called it, but that's the number it is. But yeah, so this is going to be more of taking information in, and then I'll work with Guy and we'll build something. Hopefully it will capture most of the things that we're talking about. if you have a brilliant idea or you see a website, you go like, oh, there's how it should be framed. You've got about the next week to take a picture of it and send it in to us, or a link of it and send it in to us, because we'll start working on this over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, just two little things on that. Obviously, having got some great photographs is a lovely thing for a website. And the Yellow Point Ecological Society does have a nature photo contest with a prize of $250. Deadline is January the 1st. If you have existing photographs that we can use to populate the website, because the website without images gets really boring. So if you've got favorite photos of areas within Area H, then send them over and we can include them along with the credit for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's a good point. And we have to watch out for copyright. That's correct.
Yeah.
And no, alternate hasn't been appointed yet. I have a bit of time to think this through, but I look to have that in the new year as well. And as soon as I know, I'll let everybody know. And there's another question here. Yes, Sunemu's traditional territory. Someone told me when we're on Zoom, you have to be very careful because everybody from Zoom could be in different locations. And so when you're actually sitting in a building, you can go, okay, I know where everybody is. So that's where you'll see the more general Coast Salish people recognition of their land title. This is really, really good. I just I didn't know what to expect as the first one, but thank you everybody for your input. Thank you to the presenters, to Coralie, to Mike, to Pamela. And I would just want to wish you and your family a very Merry Christmas. And we will have this website up probably in the middle of January. And the next public meeting, I'm going to advertise it in the papers for the middle of February. So that'll be the next one where we'll try to do a full town hall via Zoom. So thank you, everybody. Take care.
One quick item before you shut it down, Ben.
Yep.
Earlier on in the discussion, Shannon mentioned that the APC minutes haven't been on the website for quite some time. There's a couple of reasons for that. One is we have not been particularly busy. We have a reputation that developers just don't challenge us anymore. The other reason is we've lost our secretary, and we are in desperate need of a new secretary. So if you could find somebody that is good on the keyboard that would be willing to put in some time on the APC, we would certainly welcome that person. Right now, our vice chair is filling in as secretary, but he's overworked already and finding it difficult to keep up. So
yeah,
that's a request. If possible, we really could use somebody.
Well, good news for that. I primed the pump, and it sounds like John Edwards, one of your newer members, is willing to do that. He's also the poet laureate for Ladysmith. So he should come up with some wonderful language for you.
Super. That's good news.
Okay. All right. Thank you again, everybody. Appreciate the time. We'll see you around Area H.